Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Play On podcast. Welcome back to episode 2 of GAA News. I have Luke here with me again. Luke, how's it going?
All good.
Yeah, well, we've a fair bit of GAA news to get through this week, starting with, of course, Ballygunner crowned Waterford Hurling champions this week. Obviously, they battered Roanmore in the final, 2 goals and 27 points to Roanmore's 13 points. Luke, Ballygunner have really been the dominant force in Waterford Hurling over the last few years. And when you look at their team, I mean, they've got Stephen O'Keefe, they've got Barry Coughlin, they have Porrick Mahoney, they've Peter Hogan, Desi Hutchinson scored a goal in 9. Like, they have a superb team. And do you see them as contenders for the All-Ireland Club Championship now?
Yeah, look, I think that is eight Waterford Championship wins in a row now, and I know there's been a bit of debate kind of within the county and stuff, like, is this good for Waterford Club Hurling? But I think the argument is that a team of that quality is consistently contesting kind of Club All-Irelands. They haven't managed to win one just yet, but they are contesting them every year. And I suppose as well is the argument is that it's probably a club being like so strong is improving the standard of hurling, I suppose, for the inter-county team. But yeah, I think they absolutely have to be considered contenders anyway. Like, it's a ridiculously strong team. Like, even the players we haven't mentioned yet just so far, like Ian Kenny's obviously starting for Waterford. There's Billy O'Keefe as well, and Mikey Mahoney, who very easily could be starting for Waterford in a few years' time. So it's an unbelievable team, really. And I suppose just the margin of victory in this game as well against the Roanmore team that kind of had a great championship run. That I think they have to probably be one of the early favourites to be for the Club All Ireland Hurling Championship.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you think the pillars were really of the performance? What do you think really set them apart from Roanmore?
Yeah, look, I think it's that firepower up front, and I've never really seen the likes of a corner forward hitting a goal in 9 from play, and like, it's just a staggering tally from Desi Hutchinson. And look, you see kind of he's gone from strength to strength in the inter-county game as well, and when he goes back down to club level and stuff now, he's established himself back kind of as a regular in that team after his kind of stint playing over in Brighton, playing football. He's been playing week in, week out now, and look, he's just gone to the next level, and he's probably up there as one of the best corner forwards in the game right now. So, just having him and to have Porrick Mahoney as well up there, Mikey Mahoney as well, and Peter Hogan as well. There's so many scorers in that forward line, and just for other club teams, I suppose in the county, like, just looking at that kind of, like, if you manage to somewhat kind of slow down Desi Hutchinson today, then Porrick Mahoney's just going to step up as well. So it's I think it's going to be a long time before a team can kind of be confident that Ballygunner won't be favourites in the county again.
Definitely. And from Munster, which one would you back? Because obviously in the Pearshig from Limerick, they're very, very highly rated. Right now, seeing how good Ballygunner look, which one of them two would you kind of be more leaning towards to win Munster?
Yeah, look, well, I think I'd have to go with, at the moment, Ballygunner, because the fact, like, they've got through Waterford already now. In the Pearshig, I'm kind of looking at the standard of opposition, I suppose, in the county as well. You've got Patrick's well, you've got Kilmallock. All these teams on any given day could really put it up to the Pearshig, and I wouldn't think it'd be a sure thing for the Pearshig to even win Limerick. I wouldn't be surprised to see a team turn them over as well this year with kind of the standard in the county right now. So considering that they've won their championship and the impressive manner in which they did it, I think Ballygunner have to be favourites for Munster right now. And if they can get through Munster, they'd have a very, very good chance of going all the way this year.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you've said there. So congratulations, Ballygunner, Waterford Senior Hurling Champions for 2021. Moving on to the next story. And this was a story which was definitely, took me by surprise. Anton Tohill, the son of former Derry legend Anthony Tohill, he's returned to play with the Derry Senior Footballers for 2022. And on the other side, Stefan Okonbar, who is very highly rated, played with Kerry all the way up. He moved over to the AFL, but now he's returned. He's come back to play with Kerry. This is 2 major, major moves for both these county teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, I think, well, starting off with Derry, I suppose, like, you saw already kind of the impact that Conor Glass had coming back in there and pretty much transformed that team as well, that he's spotted midfield. And the fact that throw in kind of Anton Tohill can kind of have a similar impact, then Derry will continue going strength to strength. And look, and that addition could be something that could elevate them to being a contender in Ulster if it works out right. So look, I think that first of all is a huge move, I think, for Derry. And I know that they're well set at midfield, so it'd be interesting to see where he kind of lines up if he goes and if he makes an impact straight away.
Yeah, I think he definitely will have an impact. Me personally, I'd be more interested in the impact that Okonbar has with Kerry, because obviously we talked about Kerry being kind of vulnerable at the back. Okonbar played at fullback for Kerry, at minor and at under 20, and he was fantastic there. And then he's a massive man, like he would handle any full forward in the country really. And it would be interesting for me to see if Jack O'Connor kind of gives him a run in the league, and we can see if he's up to inter-county standard. That could be the separator really if Kerry go on to win the All-Ireland. I don't say that lightly. Yeah,
look, well, I think it's a good point, because it is absolutely the position that Kerry need. And this is if you look at the semi-final this year against Tyrone, and it was kind of nearly same old story, that the full-back line is where they probably lost that game, and that's the goals that went in and the manner in which goals were scored. And so, look, Okonbar was an unbelievable prospect as well. He was kind of a member of that team as well, including Mark O'Connor that left as well. So if this I think that's maybe there's a hope that this might set a precedent, and I think Kerry really want Mark O'Connor coming back too. So I'd be really curious to watch. I think a lot of people in the county already are very they really want to see him get a kind of sustained period of game time, I suppose, in the league as well. So it'll be interesting to see if Jack O'Connor does go and looks to kind of get him game time in that fullback spot or centre half back spot or wherever he may most suited.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be fascinating to see. On the other side, one of the biggest real misses of the GAA of the last 10 years, Colin O'Riordan, he's extended his stay at the Sydney Swans. That's a massive blow for Tipperary football.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And kind of in contrast to the two other lads that have came back with Tohill and Okonbar coming back, they're going back into counties kind of where, albeit Kerry didn't have probably their greatest year considering their standards, but there is a kind of feel-good factor, I suppose, about the two counties, and that there's a belief that although Derry probably aren't All-Ireland contenders, really, there's a feeling that they're going the right direction. And obviously, every year with Kerry, I think that the belief is that they're going to win the All-Ireland every year. So for the two of them, I suppose, coming back, there's belief that the counties are going somewhere. Colin O'Riordan's doing very, very well over in the AFL. He's got a sustained period of game time as well, playing for the Sydney Swans as well. So, I think it was probably a no-brainer for him. Look, it was a fantastic story when he came back to play those games when Tipperary won Munster. But, look, he's doing very, very well in the AFL. And obviously, must be extremely happy over there as well. And look, maybe one day he will come back to play again for Tipperary, but completely understand why he's been looking to extend his stay down under.
Yeah, reluctantly, I completely agree with his decision as well. Tipperary in the current format of the championship, winning the Munster in 2020. I think is as good as things are going to get for Tipperary in terms of championship football for a long time. I mean, the game is rigged that if you're not in one of the Kerry, Tyrone, Donegal, Dublin, Mayo or Galway, you don't really have much chance to win the All-Ireland. Maybe Cork can come good in the next few years, but you have to be a powerhouse really to have All-Ireland aspirations. Moving on to a team that kind of were All-Ireland contenders at the start of the 2010s, they've hired a new manager, Kildare. They've hired Glenn Ryan as their new manager, replacing Jack O'Connor, who's obviously become Kerry manager. What did you make of this appointment?
Yeah, well, look, I think actually the biggest story about this is actually kind of the backroom team that's kind of come in with him. And I suppose, I think it's kind of immediately caught the impact is that he's going to have Anthony Rainbow, Johnny Doyle and Dermot Earley in the backroom team. And that's as star-studded as it gets, kind of. There's some cracking footballers in there, some key figures in Kildare football for the last few years. So I think there's a lot of optimism in the county that that there was kind of questions, I suppose, whether Jack O'Connor's heart was really in the Kildare job and the manner in which he left it and everything as well. So I think that the reaction to the appointment of Glenn Ryan with those kind of the Kildare legends all involved as well, I think there's a lot of optimism in the county, and I think there's going to be some serious excitement, I suppose, once the league kind of kickstarts as well. And I'd be expecting big enough attendances based off these appointments.
100%, because Glenn Ryan is an absolute legend of Gaelic football. For anyone who doesn't really know who Glenn Ryan is, Glenn Ryan was as good a centre half back as you're ever going to see. and he was a pivotal member of that Kildare side, which made the All-Ireland final in 1998, and they nearly beat Galway in that game. He's back in charge. He was once the Longford manager. Now he's the Kildare manager. And speaking of managers, also big news coming out this week. Keith Ricken, who won the Under-20 All-Ireland with Cork in 2019, he's allowed his name to go forward for the Cork senior job following the displacement of Ronan McCarthy.
Yeah, look, that again, another really interesting kind of subplot, I suppose, in the off season here. And yeah, look, I think he initially himself didn't go for it, I suppose, and then after I think his name has kind of kept coming up in the clubs and everything like that, as well as somebody that people want to see as the Cork manager. And I think that's the way the Cork probably have to go. Is that there is like a huge array of kind of young talent coming through. They've been competing for All-Irelands every year, pretty much at underage. And you look at the senior team seemed to be a long way off based off Kerry this year. So based off that, I think it was a no-brainer really that McCarthy was going to be displaced, I suppose, as manager. And and look, if Cork do want to kind of get back to kind of where they've kind of probably belong, I suppose, in the football sense of the country, then I think they're going to have to get those to get like maybe 4 or 5 players from each kind of successful underage team through in the next coming years. And so it obviously makes sense then to have a manager over them that's already familiar with these players, knows their strengths, knows their kind of weaknesses as well, and can cultivate them into senior inter-county players. So yeah, I think if that does turn out to be the appointment, I do think it's the right decision from Cork, and I think he's the best man to kind of try and develop those young lads.
I completely agree. And say he does get the job, obviously we're in a period of a bit of transition now. Obviously Tyrone won the All-Ireland, but Tyrone won the All-Ireland, in my opinion. I still don't think they've reached their full potential. Kerry haven't reached their full potential. Dublin are heading into a bit of a transition. Cork, if they get Ricken in at the right time, do you think that they could be All-Ireland contenders in the next few years?
Yeah, look, well, I think it's entirely dependent on those teams and how they kind of transition into senior, because obviously the talent is there, but I think based off the current panel that played this year, I can't see that group of players being competing for it. So I think he might need maybe 2 years to get lads kind of familiar, I suppose, with the inter-county game and kind of settled in there. But then, like, within the next 5 years, I think there's absolutely could be a model there in Cork to be aiming to be contesting All-Ireland, and that's the same period of time. There probably might have to be a little bit of patience in the county and stuff as well, because it is definitely a kind of a huge period of transition. So there is a bit of a gap right now that maybe that next year's All-Ireland is absolutely up for grabs. I think that'll be definitely too soon for them, and I think the following year might be too soon as well. But I think long term they can aim to kind of get back at the eating at the top table.
Yeah, well, either way, it would be fascinating to see, and I'd love to see Keith Ricken appointed as Cork manager. I'm fascinated to see how Glenn Ryan will do, obviously as Kildare manager as well. I'm fascinated to see the impact that Okonbar and Anton Tohill will have coming back from the AFL. And obviously congratulations to Ballygunner, Waterford club champions for 2021. That is the wrap for GAA News Week 2. Until next time, take care.